I actually recently heard somebody saying, I don't even know if this is true or not, that almost 20% of the people in the US practice meditation. I hope that's true because that's gonna be very exciting for me. Um, but we'll see. So in this video, I actually want to talk about beyond meditation and why meditating is not enough. So a little contradictory, but I love talking about this. So what is meditation? Let's talk about that first, and I'm going to talk about why meditation is not enough. So whether you're newer to meditation practice, spirituality, or this personal development stuff, or whether you have been practicing, people engage in meditation for different reasons, but many people, unless you have this solid practice that you're engaging in that all the time, and that has become a part of lifestyle. Many people meditate because they heard that meditation is good for instance, stress, anxiety, or to have a different experience to feel centered. Yeah. So what I have observed is that many people engage in meditation because of some pain in their life, that they feel a chaotic energy, not having an order in the mind, not having peace in their life, having a relationship issue, having a conflict with somebody, and they want to stabilize and balance their psycho-emotional body. Yeah. So I don't know if you're a meditator or if you are somebody who sort of is interested in meditation, but meditation is about observation, to begin observing your internal state. So many people think thoughts rather automatically and mechanically. And I said many people, but I think the truth is everybody. So all people think thoughts mechanically or automatically because that is the nature of thought. That mind is designed to function that way. So without us having any intention of initiating a thought, the mind starts thinking automatically, rather passively. Yeah. And many people suffer from it. I don't know if you know Eckhart Tolle, who wrote a book, Power of Now, which is a fantastic book. He also has a book called New Earth that explain the ego self. Is also fantastic. He talked about struggle happens in the external world, but the suffering happens in our thinking. So what that really means is that nobody would suffer if we have an uplifting thinking. Suffering only comes from our thinking. We suffer from our own thoughts. So when we meditate, let's say if you have a practice of sitting up nice and tall to meditate, or lying down, whatever that meditation practice might be, you are practicing getting outside of your own mind thinking and begin observing those. I also almost always call those the visitors. The thought visitors comes into your experience and start having a little inner chatter conversation. And we must be able to cultivate this practice of observing curiously, so we don't resist against any thoughts, but we invite in and welcoming them, so that move through. The whole process of meditation is, to me, about creating a mind container that, I should say, creating an awareness container that the mind can have a conversation in a free manner, so there's not any resistance. Yeah. Now, I would say that is a 50% of our spiritual practice. Now, why do I say 50%? Because the other 50% has to do with our thinking, right? I have found that, okay, meditation is going to help you to become aware of the thinking, but meditation that focuses on observing and noticing the thoughts doesn't train us to think positive, empowering, expansive thoughts. So what that means is that, let's say if you have a practice of going to using the app or something and going to a meditation for 5, 10, 15 minutes per day. Yeah. Now you become calmer, you become feeling more peaceful, and you become more aware of noticing your thoughts. Yeah. Now notice that in order to function in this 3D physical world, you must have thoughts. You cannot live without any thoughts, right? So meditation is halfway 50% because you can notice when you're thinking negatively. By the way, it's been said, this again, I don't know who said it, but I get different information from different people that 70% of the thoughts that we think on a daily basis are negative. I think I got this information from Jack Canfield, who wrote A Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he said that 70% of the thoughts that we think are negative, and 90% of the thoughts you thought today, you also thought yesterday. So when you combine those two statistics, how much of the time you're thinking negative thoughts, right? So noticing is the first 50%. Now we want to be able to direct that negative thoughts to begin thinking positively, or rather letting go of all those negative thoughts habitual tendency and being able to replace with the empowering expansive positive thoughts. So how do we do that? Let me give you just a little bit of trick because I want to create a specific video for how to completely replace negative to positive thoughts. Now, one thing that I have realized is that many people are wired to focus on what they don't want. So let's say if you have a negative thought, first of all, many people are not even aware that they're thinking negative thoughts, because when you start thinking those and when you keep thinking those thoughts, it just becomes a part of their lifestyle, and it just becomes a part of their identity, and it just becomes life just is. And people don't have this thinking process where how can I replace it, right? So the first step is to become aware that you might be thinking negative thoughts, right? So I suggest that you write those down, right? So if you cannot sort of grasp what kind of thoughts you're thinking, maybe begin identifying the different trigger points. Trigger points means that, okay, when you meet with this person, you have some sort of reaction and trigger to begin thinking about something negatively. Or when you have a deadline, when you are with your kids, when you are with your spouse, when you are with this particular person or go to this place. Many people have 3 or 4 different patterns that is recurring that triggers them to think the same negative thoughts. So you identify that situation, and then when you kind of recall that situation, you might be able to identify what kind of thoughts you might be thinking. Yeah. And what we want to realize is that when you start identifying them, you might notice that you're actually focusing on not wanting those, right? And this is so rather interesting that we get caught into the not wanting land that we start living. But what we want to do is to begin identifying what's the opposite of those thoughts that you do not want. Because if you put an energy to the thoughts that you are not wanting, you are giving attention to more to the not wanting, and you're nurturing and nourishing that not wanting forest or whatever you want to call. So it's important to write those down, because sometimes when you're not writing down, it's sort of rather intangible and abstract and vague, and we cannot grasp it. By writing things down, you can give order in your mind. The mind loves order. Yeah. Then you start identifying what are the opposite thing that I want to be thinking to feel differently and to feel good. That would be the first step. That would be the first step to begin identifying all the thoughts that you want to be thinking that gives you a sense of expansion. So you can actually forget about the thoughts that you think that you do not want, that you know they're not nurturing you. They're not nurturing you. Yeah. So those thoughts that you are wanting to think, once you identify those, what you want to do is to begin actually practicing, right? Because I mentioned 3-4 different patterns. That pattern is gonna come again maybe tomorrow or next week, and then you want to rehearse it, right? Oh, I'm gonna have this person meeting again, or I have a deadline, or I'm gonna go into this place that I get triggered again, right? What do I want to be thinking, right? And you start using your imagination to begin practicing those thoughts that you want to be thinking when you get there. And at the beginning, I can tell you that inside of you, there are going to be two people that is going to start conflicting, right? You have a new version of you that you want to be thinking, but your internal reaction is sort of set in like a thermostat like setup, and you continue to want to demonstrate and express the way you have been demonstrating. So that needs to shift, right? So you do the rehearsal and then you do the actual shift in your thinking while you're in that actual moment until the new thoughts begin being replaced with the old one. And you want to do that repeatedly over and over and over. What I often say is that because your body is your subconscious mind, changing the subconscious pattern occurs exactly the way you train your body. So whatever the exercise mode that you're practicing, could be resistance training, yoga, Pilates, or running, or some jujitsu, or maybe ballet, you want to be doing that at least 3 or 4 times per week in order to improve. When I was dancing before, I didn't want to just practice 1 or 2 days per week because that sort of made me retain, but I didn't see improving, right? I believe that if you want to improve in something, you want to be doing minimum 3 times per week, right? So the mental, psychological, emotional stuff is the same. You want to do your rehearsal to begin practicing that. So let's come back to the initial topic of this video. Beyond meditation. Meditation is halfway, 50% of the work, because unless we can demonstrate that empower positive, expansive thoughts, we are not feeling good, we are not feeling happy, we're not feeling peaceful. So meditation is an excellent tool to help us become aware of our thinking and the internal climate, and it's not enough. In order to fill ourselves with the positive, expansive, empower thoughts, feeling, emotions, and belief, we must practice visualization, choosing the words, choosing the imagery, choosing the feeling, choosing the belief that we want to be operating at or in, and begin practicing using the power of imagination, conscious, creative imagination, to fill ourselves with those thoughts, feelings, emotions, and belief. And because your subconscious cannot tell the difference between the outside and the inside imagination, you will start feeling amazing, awesome, expansive, and you want to practice that to be able to demonstrate the real power that you have within you. The real power that you have within you is that you are the creator. And the creation starts with your thoughts. Creation starts with your feeling, to be able to express that out and moving through life so you can begin facilitating the reaction from life to manifest and create the life of your desire. So the real practice is to be able to observe 50%. The second 50% is to visualize so you can plant the seed of what you want to create in the outside. Let me know if you have any questions. So beyond meditation, practice creative visualization. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you in the next video.